Phil comes from the Greek word meaning love. In philosophy, it's joined with Sophia, wisdom, so philosophy means literally love of wisdom. When joined with biblio-book, the result is bibliophile, or lover of books. And Philadelphia, containing the Greek word adelphos, brother, was named by its Quaker founder, William Penn, as the city of brotherly love. Enophile, a person with an appreciation and usually knowledge of fine wine. As an amateur enophile, he was constantly talking to his friends in the vocabulary of wine tasting. The root eno comes from the Greek word meaning wine. The enophile should be distinguished from the enologist, or student of wine, who has a technical knowledge of the cultivation of wine grapes and of the whole winemaking process. Enophiles may not know how to make a great wine, but they know one when they taste it. Not only that, but they can describe it using nouns like nose, finish, and bouquet, as well as adjectives such as woody, full-bodied, robust, and noble. Philatelist, a person who collects or studies stamps. The U.S. Postal Service issues first-day covers of each new stamp design, especially for philatelists. The first postage stamps were made available on May 1, 1840, in England, and it didn't take long for the hobby of stamp collecting to arise. Within a year, a young London lady was letting it be known in a newspaper advertisement that she was desirous of covering her dressing room with cancelled postage stamps. Philately has been alive and well ever since, though modern philatelists, including rock stars, English kings, and American presidents, are more likely to put the stamps they collect in special albums. Anglophile, a person who greatly admires or favors England and English things. His grandparents were Anglophiles, and whenever they had guests in the afternoon, the beautiful silver tea service would come out. Even after fighting 2 wars against Britain, Americans continued to regard England with more fondness than perhaps any other country. For much of our history, Americans have sought to imitate the British in any number of ways. American movie stars even used to adopt British accents, and the two countries have long been close allies. But Britain isn't the only country Americans fall in love with. Francophiles, France lovers, Germanophiles, Germany lovers, and Italophiles, Italy lovers, are also common. In the 19th century, Russian Slavophiles called for rejecting European culture in favor of homegrown Russian culture, Slavs being those who speak a Slavic language such as Russian or Polish. Occasionally Phil words are turned around, thus, someone who is Philo-Semitic is a lover of Jewish culture. Philanthropy, 1. A charitable act or gift. 2. An organization that distributes or is supported by charitable contributions. Her last philanthropy was dedicated to protecting a vast area in Central Africa where many of the great apes lived. With its anthro root, see anthrop, philanthropy means literally love of mankind. Thus, philanthropy is giving money for a purpose or cause benefiting people who you don't personally know. Animals are usually included as well. Individuals have often set up their own permanent philanthropic organizations in the form of foundations. The greatest American philanthropists have included Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Andrew Carnegie, and John D. Rockefeller, but tens of millions of us could be considered philanthropists on a much smaller scale. Neg and its variants nec and ne are prefixes of denial or refusal in Latin, and the Latin verb negare means to say no. To negate something is to make it ineffective, and something negative denies, contradicts, refuses, or reverses. Negligent, 1. Failing to take proper or normal care. 2. Marked by or likely to show neglect. The Army Corps of Engineers was found negligent for having failed to keep the New Orleans levees in good repair. To be negligent is to be neglectful. Negligence is an important legal concept. It's usually defined as the failure to use the care that a normally careful person would in a given situation. Negligence is a common claim in lawsuits regarding medical malpractice, auto accidents, and workplace injuries. But you can also be negligent about answering your email, or negligent in the way you dress. The original garment called a negligee was worn by women who had neglected to get fully dressed. The legal meanings of negligent and negligence, however, tend to be the ones we most often encounter nowadays. Abnegation, self-denial. She's been denying herself pleasures since she was a child, so she's actually attracted by the life of abnegation that a nun leads. Abnegation plays an important part in the teachings of all the major religions. The founder of Buddhism was a prince who gave up all his worldly goods when he discovered the world of poverty that lay outside the palace gates, and abnegation has been a Buddhism practice ever since. Hinduism has an even older tradition of abnegation. Special periods of abnegation and fasting may even be included in a religion's yearly calendar. Serious Christians give up some pleasure for the 40-day period of Lent, for instance, and Muslims are forbidden to eat during daylight hours during the month of Ramadan. Negligible, so small as to be neglected or disregarded. Local weather forecasters had made it sound like the blizzard of the century, but the amount of snow turned out to be negligible. Negligible comes from the same Latin verb as neglect, so something negligible is literally neglectable. If an accident results in negligible damage to your car, you should be thankful. If 2 years of intense focus on testing in the classroom results in a negligible improvement in student test scores, it's probably time to try something new.